Refa'enu Adonai v'nerafe. Hoshienu v'nivashega. El karov lechokorav, akarov lireav isho. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul. For strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. And oh, please heal us now. Refuat nefesh, refuat guf, refuat shleima. Heal us now. Heal us now. Hoshia et amecha, ubarech et nachlatecha, ureim benasem et ha'olam. Misheberach avotinu, Misheberach imotinu, Adonai, Adonai Hoshiana. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every child, every person, hand in hand. El Norefana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shleima. El Norefana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shleima. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now. We now call up our very own Nancy Smith, who is going to talk about her journey with cancer.
Here's my notes. But first, I want to say that is just so sweet that you said it tonight, and I've read it. Our very own Nancy Smith. And I have to say, from the first time I walked through these doors, which was 1990-ish, I think, and I didn't know what to expect. And everybody greeted me. I felt so at home. I thought, okay, I just felt like I was coming home. So I just wanted to say that. And actually, I remember that first night, there were two men that, of course, I didn't know them. And they said, They told me their names. I remember one of them was Harry, and I can't remember the other one, but they said, we want to take you dancing. We want to go, we always go to the Polish American Club following.
That was definitely her zone.
Okay. We go to the Polish American Club every Friday night after services, so we want you to go with us. So I followed them up there. I went, and we, it was fun. It was fun times. So, and also, before I get to my actual body of my story, I just want to tell you a little bit of my pre-story, kind of. I was a nurse midwife. Some of you may know, may not know. So I knew breasts from a maternity standpoint. I knew all about breastfeeding. I knew, the anatomy of the breast. But I didn't know anything about what it was if you had breast cancer. And also, for some reason, well, I know I had a friend that had cancer, and there was a doctor here in town that was an oncologist, and he had a cancer group that would meet. I used to go to those groups. I was the only one who didn't have cancer, and so I heard lots and lots of stories, and I did that for a while. And then another little thing about my pre-story is I was going to a dermatologist and just for regular routine, and so I'd get a little place on my lip that would come and go, and I was treated, and then finally he said, I'm a little concerned about that. Looks like might be a little basal cell. So he did a biopsy, and sure enough, it was. So I was very upset about that. I said, oh, no, now I know my body can make cancer. He goes, oh, no. Just because you had this, that doesn't mean you're going to have breast cancer. And a year later, I did. So that was 16 years ago. And I went to have a routine mammogram. They found a tiny little polyp in one of the ducts, and they said, okay, well, we should do a biopsy. Well, it turned out it wasn't anything. It was very benign. So I went to see actually an oncologist here in Vero Beach, just to see what she thought. And so she said, oh, you're so lucky that, that's not anything to worry about. But if you want to go to a surgeon and just see if they might want to remove it. So I did, and it was a general surgeon. And he said, oh, that's nothing. Chances of you having breast cancer it's nil. You have no risk factors. So don't worry about it. Yeah, I wouldn't remove it. Just leave it alone. So that my follow-up was 6 months, come back and have another mammogram. So actually, when they did that biopsy, it was like my breast got very, very bruised, very inflamed. And so I didn't rush right back. And so I think I might have waited about 8 months or so. So before I went back, I had another mammogram. And so then they diagnosed it. They said, yeah, that's a cancer. So they, after doing, the mammogram and ultrasound. So anyway, let me see. I went to see, because I had all kinds of stories. So I went to see an oncologist this particular time down in West Palm, and also a breast specialist, a breast surgeon. And so I saw both of them. And so then they told me that, I even went up to Johns Hopkins to see what they thought, and so they said, oh, we prefer you go see you have things done in your own community. So I went to this doctor, the oncologist, who specialized in breast in West Palm, and she did a test that was called an Oncotype 21. And what it does, it's a test that tells you what genes you have and whether or not chemo would help you and what kind of treatment that you should have. Mine turned out to be, they said, you don't need chemo. It turned out to be estrogen receptive positive and HER2 negative. So what it meant was I was sensitive to estrogen. So I didn't have to have the BRCA test because I converted into Judaism. I didn't have any background as far as, any ancestry from any of the Jewish religion or Middle East. So I underwent bilateral mastectomy, reconstruction, after talking with many people, trying to figure out what to do. And that's a decision, too, that was not easy. It was difficult to figure out what is it that would work best for me. So that's what I chose. And after a very lengthy time, then they put me on, they said, you don't need chemo, you don't need radiation, but you need the medication that is a estrogen deprivation pill, medicine that decreases the estrogen in your body. And so the kind that they gave me, I took, but I thought, how much estrogen can I have in my body or something, So I didn't take it on a real regular. I did take it regularly, but I would skip here and there. And so it was like maybe 18 months or so. I started getting this little area on the breast that they had already had the mastectomy that was kind of a little rough area. And so it turns out that they said, we better check that. So it turns out that the cancer had come back on the surface. So I underwent another, that was kind of the, second part of my story, underwent another surgery and reconstruction on just the one breast. So then they said, maybe you should have radiation or have something a little further. So then I underwent radiation, which I did very well, and I did that here in Vero Beach, just as a precaution. So I'm pausing because I was wondering, okay, where I am in my little story here. Anyway, I went both times when I had the first surgery, I had so much support from the synagogue. People brought me food. They called me. I learned from some people would call and say, the same thing happened to me. I don't know if you know, but I had breast cancer. I learned, so many people shared their story, and people sent me cards. I was just loads of cards, phone calls. Then they brought me food to the house, and they were just, every day I would have, I just felt so cared for and so loved. They say that, there's good things that come out of things and there's bad things. And I guess the bad thing was being kind of overwhelmed by hearing the fact that I had breast cancer when I so didn't think I would ever have anything like that. And but the good part of it was you really reassess your life and you really say, okay, what can I do differently? You know who your friends are and people that you probably should kind of eliminate or not be around so much that have a negative influence on your life. And I remember also, as far as being taken care of, besides the things that the people from the synagogue did, my son, one of my sons, which I have 4 children, a daughter and 3 sons, but one of my sons, actually the youngest one, came over and I had V&A came and would change dresses and do things, but he came over And he would help me, and he did things he probably wasn't real comfortable doing. And my daughter came up from Fort Lauderdale, and she was with me some of the times when I went to the doctor. And so, I had that support from my family, and then also from the synagogue, like I said. So what have I learned from this? I think when they asked me to speak, I thought, okay, what is it that I want everyone to take away from them? And what is it I feel I learned from the experience? And I thought, change your lifestyle, look at what it is you're eating, get plenty of exercise, do the things that are going to create as healthy a body and emotional and spiritual, effects as possible. When we just sang that little song, and he said that, I even wrote it down, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. How beautiful that is. And I feel like that, it's a stormy time. And I do feel like that you really need that to be that shelter. One thing I learned, too, I'm a lot stronger than I realized. I didn't fall apart. I took it in stride. One thing I didn't do, and I still don't do, I didn't wear a lot of pink. I didn't embrace it to the part where, the place where I was constantly, doing things that had to do with breast cancer and wearing the ribbon and wearing the pink and decorating my house in pink or whatever people do. Some people go overboard, and that really was not something that I did. But I did start doing more meditation. I think my big takeaway is have fun, enjoy your life, laugh more, help other people. There's a quote that I think is so good that's I think it was in a book, May All Be Fed or Diet for a New Planet, one of those type of books. And in the beginning, it says, you're better off if you eat hot dogs and have beer with people that you care about, and you're sitting around the table and you laugh and you enjoy it, than if you're so thinking about every little thing you eat, and you're eating sprouts and you're eating, let's say, celery, or you're eating things where you're just very, very conscious of just eating only certain things, and and you don't even enjoy it, what you're eating, So that stood out in my mind. Okay. I don't have a post story, but except I am the post story. So I feel like I'm doing well. I mean, like I said, this was 16 years ago, so, and I still follow up, I still go to the doctor, I still take the medication, the estrogen deprivation medication. Oh, but, and one thing I wanted to tell you, because when you have the ancestry, the Jewish background, when they do the BRCA test, it's not that all of us carry the BRCA gene, it's the mutation of the BRCA gene that makes the difference. So, and like I said, I did not have to be tested for that. But that's my story. I'm happy that I'm here to tell it. It's not something that I've kind of not done it for. I mean, every time they talk, oh, we need somebody to tell their story, who we're going to have for breast cancer. I'm going, oh, not me, but I'm happy that I got to tell it to you. So I hope you appreciate and learn something from it. And now my pomegranate pucker.
And now your pomegranate pucker. That's the only reason that Nancy did.
Yeah, that was the reason I did.
Nancy, Yesher Koach May you have strength. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing that strength. I think there's all of us, we're offering a lot of amens for all of your spirit and strength. And thank you for accepting the Caring Community Group's invitation to come and to offer that. So a Yesher Koach and a big thank you to Nancy.